What's going on, YouTube? I started painting this car behind me. It's a 2022 Chevy Equinox. We got a quarter repair and a door blend with a new door or a used door, and then a little repair on our bumper over there. And I've had something on my mind, and then it dawned on me. You guys have probably been in the same position at some point in your life that I'm in right now. And I figured, why not go to you guys for advice? And when we get to clear, I'm gonna take the time to answer 2 questions that I've been getting asked a lot since I started this channel. Now, I haven't made a video like this in a while, where I kind of just paint a car and talk to you guys about whatever's on my mind. And before anything, I feel like it's necessary for me to say, I love my job. I love where I'm at. It has been the most peaceful body shop to work at out of all the body shops I've ever worked at. For those of you who have been working in body shops for a while, you know, things can get, what's the word? I don't know. Guys can be pretty dramatic, believe it or not, which you would think in a shop full of guys, you know, there wouldn't be much drama. But there's, in my past, I've worked at some pretty toxic body shops. And this one that I'm at now has been by far the most pleasant body shop to work at. Everybody here has respect for each other. Nobody goes around pointing the finger at each other, blaming each other. You know, I can go to the head body guy and show him something that I'm concerned with that's in the booth, and there's no problem at all between, you know, me and him. If I go to him like that, he doesn't take it personal. I think the reason why there can be some drama in body shops is because the guys that choose to work in a body shop for a living generally do so because they like cars, they're passionate about cars, which naturally is gonna lead them to be passionate about their work. So when someone comes to them and is questioning something about their work, rather than taking it as, you know, constructive criticism or just trying to get the job done right the first time, some guys take it personal. And I think that's what leads to a lot of the issues that can arise in body shops between the guys on the floor in the shop. But luckily for me, I found a shop where that problem doesn't exist. And I'll tell you guys right now who are looking to get into the body shop, that's hard to find. It's very hard to find. So when you do, it's something you really don't want to let go. And this leads me to what exactly has been on my mind. I'm sure everybody at some point in their life has had a gut feeling about something. Could be anything. For me, I've had this gut feeling that I need to move. I need to get out of New York. I just need to go somewhere else, which obviously leads to the issue of me having to decide whether I stay in New York and stay at the job that I'm happy at, or do I listen to my gut and get the hell out of New York, even though I'd be leaving behind a job that I really like. Got some dirt spots I gotta take care of. I don't know why I got so much dirt in this door. I saw it in my sealer too. That's why I had some sand marks on my sealer before I put that base on. I'm using Kovacs K1000. It's the best stuff you can use on waterborne paint by far. For those of you guys who have been watching me since I basically started, you know my plan has always been and still is to, at the end of the year or at the beginning of next year, to get my own garage. This way I can do side jobs that include more than just painting after work and on the weekends and things like that. So that's another thing that I really have to consider, because I would hate to get a garage here and then a few months later decide to go with my gut and start looking for a job elsewhere, and then have to move everything out of that garage to another state and then back into another garage. Now, I'm lucky enough that I don't have, a girlfriend or wife and kids or any of that. So at least that's one less thing for me to have to consider. But I'm also tempted to listen to my gut, because I really, really, really want to work at a flat rate shop. I made a video talking about that, and there are some flat rate painters out there making over $200,000 a year. Granted, those guys usually work 6-7 days a week, but like I said, I'm young, I'm not married, I don't have kids, so if I could work 7 days a week, I would work 7 days a week. Today's Sunday. I came in because I was home bored, and I'd rather be working than sitting at home bored. I guess it would just take the right opportunity to fall in my lap to kind of convince me to do it. But like I said earlier, this isn't something that I just randomly, started feeling in my gut. This is something that I've been feeling for years. And it's not even like I have a particular state or anything like that I'd like to move to. I can't even say it's, I want to go south because I want warmer weather. I don't like New York winters. Although that is true, that's not, the reason why I want to move. I can't even say that there is a particular reason why I want to move. It's just something that I felt I needed to do for a long time, and that feeling never went away. And I don't know, maybe some of you guys out there have felt how I felt, and listened to your gut and moved, and things turned out amazing for you. I feel like that's kind of how life works. You don't just get these random feelings for no reason. So before, when I was mixing my paint, I accidentally overpoured by a lot on one of my tints. I think it was the matte base, which affects the flop. So I couldn't just, say screw it and keep pouring. So what I did, and what you guys could do, if you ever overpour, and there's usually a rebulk formula, which will tell you how much to add of the other tints to even everything out. In my case, since I was mixing 22, when I rebulked it, I would have had to mix more than my cup would have fit. So what you can do in that case, and what I did, was I just stopped mixing my paint. I reduced it. I used that color, that bad color, for my 2 coverage coats. Now I'll come back in here, and what I'll do is I'll just mix 8 ounces for my drop coat, and I'll put 2 light drop coats on there. This way we don't waste any material. And I did still have some of that other color left over. There's probably about 6 ounces in here, but it's black. So anytime I have a black car, now I have black base. So I'm gonna finish mixing this up. We'll go in there and lay our drop coat. We're all set for our drop coat, but I wanted to take a second to remind you guys about the PRD 815 with the 1-2 cap giveaway. That giveaway is ending on the 20th. We sold about half the t-shirts. Whether the t-shirts sell out or not, this gun's still getting given away. There's 50 for sale. 1 t-shirt equals 1 entry. If you haven't entered, you probably should, because these are great odds to win a paint gun and get an awesome t-shirt. Don't forget, guys, when we start putting our clear down, I'm gonna be answering 2 questions that I've been getting asked since I made this channel, and I have yet to answer them because, well, there's just been so many questions. that I've been getting asked. I mean, I can't get to all of them. But today we're gonna make time for these two. Now back to the topic I was talking about before. The only factor I have to consider is, you know, finding a shop to work at. And I mean, that shop would basically determine where I move. You know, if I found a good flat rate shop in just about any state, I mean, I'd prefer to go south of New York, but just about any state, that would probably be what it takes for me to pull the trigger and make the move. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this situation and this feeling I have in my gut. Let me know what you think about it. If you have ever, you know, felt that, if you listened to it, if you didn't listen to it, I'm very curious to hear. All right, we got our panels all set for clear, as you can see. Now, the two questions I'm gonna answer today are: one, where do you look when you're clear coating? And two, how do you keep track of your wet edge? Now, when you're clear coating a panel, you always wanna be working ahead of your gun. So that means if I'm going from top to bottom, I would wanna be under my gun. And I would wanna be looking at the center of my pattern to the bottom of my pattern, mainly focusing on the area in between. As far as keeping track of your wet edge, the same thing applies. You need to be ahead of your gun in order to find your wet edge. So if you're clear coating a panel from top to bottom, you would have to, again, be under your gun to be able to keep track of your wet edge. So what you can do to make that a whole lot easier is clear your panels from bottom to top. This way, you're naturally on top of your gun or ahead of your gun. Now, I will tell you, over time, you don't even have to worry about this, but I do remember as a new painter myself, I struggled with this too. But over time, it just becomes muscle memory, how much you move your hand on every pass. But for the beginners, this is a good way to get in to find your rhythm.
So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna clear this door from top to bottom. Then on a quarter, I'm gonna clear it from bottom to top, and watch the difference on how easy it is to keep track of that wet edge. You see, at the top of the door, it's pretty easy. But as soon as it falls off to that 90-degree angle, it becomes a lot harder. Now, you have to get under your gun to follow that wet edge. Right? So if I hold the phone up here, through all that overspray, you can't see my wet edge anymore. And at the same time, you can't get down here when you're trying to clear. Now, for a quarter, let me just knock out this door jamb real quick. Okay, now we're gonna go from bottom to top. Watch how much easier this is. I don't have to bend over. I don't have to do anything because naturally my head is above my hand. See that? Real easy. So that's a method that you can use while you find your flow and your overlap. Because over time, like right here, I can't see anything. There's no light hitting this panel. But I have my overlap so embedded into my brain, I could almost do this with my eyes closed. And you will be able to also. Because it's just muscle memory.
Now, while we're letting that first coat flash off, here's that M8 I painted. And you guys saw I brought my color right to the top here. And I mean, that is about as good a match as you're gonna get when you're going panel to panel. Same thing on our hood. I noticed on our hood here, it looks great in person. I mean, it might be kind of hard to see over the camera, but where this flops harder, it looks darker. But when you come at an angle, you see how this color also gets darker. So I went on the other side of the hood, and there's really no lights on this side of the shop, so you might not be able to see it. But you can see here how our hood, where it flops harder, looks darker than our fender. And as you get towards the front, the colors get closer and closer. And that's exactly what we have on this side. We have a much closer color here. And then as this edge falls off and you see more of the flop, it gets darker than our fender. So overall, I mean, we pretty much went panel to panel. To me, this can go out the door. Let me know what you guys think. Other than that, this thing came out freaking beautiful. Okay, we are all set for our second coat. Do our little test. We see no stringiness, no clear coming off on our glove, which means we're all set. Now we're gonna do the same thing on our second coat. We'll go from top to bottom on this door. Now it's gonna be very hard to keep track of that wet edge. And then we'll go bottom to top on this door, and you'll see it's gonna appear where the top of our fan is. It's gonna start, the paint is gonna look very dry. That's what's gonna enable us to keep track of that wet edge as we come up the panel.
Shooting my second coat at 20 PSI. Slowing my passes down a little. So you see right here how that paint looks dry where the bottom of our fan was? Now that is gonna be very hard to keep track of as you go down this panel, especially once you get past the halfway point. So once you get past there, the only way you can keep track of it is by going down here, which is not realistic when you're painting a car. Now for me in this case, like I said, it just becomes muscle memory. So you can see I didn't have to keep track of it, and we still got a wet finish all the way through. Now we'll go from bottom to top on our quarter. So you guys can see how much easier it is to find that edge as we go up our panel. So yeah, hopefully that helps you guys. I'm gonna clear the rest of this stuff up, and then I'll show you guys how everything came out.
All right, here's our finished product. Everything came out great. Just want to thank you guys for listening to my rant, and say I look forward to any input you guys have. And I hope those 2 tips I gave you for the new guys, I hope they help. And if they do, if you could consider leaving a like, maybe a comment, and even subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, especially if you got value out of this video or if you were entertained. Thank you so much again, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in and supporting the channel. It means so much to me. Until the next time, peace.